Hi, I'm Shubu Prala, CAD on 001, and right now at Sheridan High School, it's homecoming. And you know what that means? Robot in 10 hours. So, let's get into it. It's currently 7 p.m., and we're not going to be sleeping tonight unless that robot is done with full strategy, color sorting, lifting, and shooting. Let's get into it. Let's talk strategy. Right now, there are 2 scoring zones or baskets, and there are 2 human player stations positioned opposite to the driver station. In the middle, there are 3 separate sections of balls, all in different orientations of color. And in the middle, there's a little triangle called the obelisk with an April tag on it. So it looks like there's a lot of April tags on the field, which means that there has to be some sort of vision or a limelight on the robot to be able to detect those. And I think that can be really helpful going forward, especially when you're trying to shoot from any angle. Being able to detect those April tags are going to be super important. And also, when we're trying to detect the obelisk, it's really important that we do so. Then we can score motifs to score the correct order of balls into the shooter to gain more points during auto and teleop. So right now, we have to worry about our drivetrain. So there's a couple different options. There's tank drive, mechnum drive, and swerve drive. But taking a look at this field, I'm already thinking that it either has to be swerve or mechnum, because tank drive doesn't really have that much mobility, and we want to have full mobility on the field, especially when there's so much moving pieces and we have to go from one opposite end of the field to the other. It just requires so much more speed and ability to move around and adapt, which means it has to be swerve or mechnum. And I already think that we can rule out swerve drive as well, because there has to be some sort of turret launcher or some flywheel launcher to be able to launch that ball a certain distance to make the most efficient robot. So, and the swerve drive already needs 8 motors to control it, 4 drive motors and 4 directional motors, which just is such an inefficient use. So I think that mechnum drive will be the play for this type of field, and it also will be way more efficient for the battery as well, so we're not already burning our 8 motors on just the drivetrain. So let's start looking at what we need to do. So it looks like from this field, these shooting baskets are pretty high up, and those April tags are decently high off the field, which means that we have to have some sort of angler. So we need to be able to shoot from, like, say if this is parallel to the ground, we need to have a wide variety of shooting angles just to get that ball into the hoop. So it looks like we do need some sort of angler mechanism, hopefully guided by that limelight as well. So also taking a look at the main concept, it looks like we do need a lot of sorting to be done, because there are 3 sections of balls on the field, and it also looks like you need to orient your shooter to make sure that you shoot the correct ball at the correct time. So we need some sort of sorter. But I want to take advantage of the human player situation as well, because we have the ability to place the balls inside of the robot. It might be a little bit easier to just directly go from human player station to the shooting zones, just to make it a little bit faster, because I think that with any type of sorting, it will take a little bit more time. And I think that we can get at least 2 more cycles done just by going from one human player station to the end of that shooting zone. Say we're blue at the end of the blue shooting zone. So I think that right now I think the main components that we need are a mechnum drive, that has a lot of space in the middle, maybe like 9 or 10 inches. And then we also need an angled flywheel shooter or turret or something that can be able to launch that ball into that basket with decent amount of power, because to make sure that we save as much time as possible, we try to shoot as far away from that from the actual box or from the actual zone, just so we saved time on just getting to the actual shooting zone. So it looks like we're trying to look at a turret or flywheel, mechnum drive probably, and I think that for now let's go with no sorting just to save on time during our match, because I think that with this specific season, time is going to be of the essence. And I think that one thing that no sorting will give us a huge advantage on is speed. I'm pretty sure that a lot of teams will start going ahead directly with sorting, because all the artifacts are already on the field laid out. And I think that no sorting is going to be a little bit easier, because I don't think as many people are going to go for that option. And we're only going to have to go from the human player station to the tip of the shooting zone, which can also save on time. So right now, in the next hour or so, right now it's around 7:15. I'll see if I can modify our old year's drivetrain to create some of our old year's drivetrain and let's see if I can create a better version of it, try to condense some more of the parts, see what I can do around with it, and try to make it so it has more space in the middle to hopefully fit a flywheel shooter. Oh, and we also need an intake. It looks like the balls are pretty wide. They're about 5 inches, so we're probably going to need some sort of intake that can angle the balls inwards into the flywheel, maybe some conveyor action going on. But after I CAD that drivetrain, and I'll put the time lapse on right now, after I CAD that drivetrain, we'll get started on the next step. Okay, luckily that didn't take even that long. It's around 9 o'clock right now, so it's about 2 hours of CAD on that drivetrain. I did use a lot of the components from last year's drivetrain for 001. All of the components are the same. It's still a pulley-driven system. Basically, it has 2 motors on each side, as you can see, and then they're connected to pulleys, which are then connected to the wheels. Not too complex, but the biggest thing is the size. So, because we do have to go into like enemy territory and go onto the other side to go to the human player station, because that's like what sort of strategy I'm going for on this one. I did have to make it a little bit more compact. So right now it's about 14 or 15 inches wide by 16 inches long, just to go for that smaller size factor. And also, if we do want to slide under any robots, it's a lot easier and a lot more compatible with a lot of the lifting robots. So it makes us a better alliance partner as well. As you can see in the middle, I put the 2 channels kind of close together because I want some sort of intake, and because those balls are 5 inches off that ground, we do need a little bit more height, so that's why I had to move the C channel a little bit closer to the motors to make space for that huge intake that we need to have. And then I also put and also learning from a lot of mistakes. I've been on an FRC team, and I've seen a lot of mistakes on wiring especially. I did add a lot of channels for the wires to go through. As you can see, that polycarb plate is primarily there to route wires through. There's space for zip ties, and those 4 motors have wires that go just straight through that middle hole and then into the expansion hub. So that's what happened with the drivetrain. Next, we will be working on the intake/shooter mechanism. We'll take a deeper dive into some of more of the examples I've been seeing, especially on FRC, as I do have an FRC background, but that'll be next up. With this game tape, you can sort of see how high a throughput Robonauts had during the 2024-2025 crescendo season. You can see that it's actually a turret that's on a turntable, so it makes it really effective when shooting from different angles, especially when detecting that April tag at that on the speaker. It's super efficient, and the intake is also very smooth, as you can see by that rolling shot. They can pick up around 6 notes pretty cleanly and shoot them with a high efficiency rate as well, making like 100% of them. But the problem I'm seeing right now with this robot is it's a little bit slow. I think the main reason for that is the manipulator and indexer system of having to go through that turret, and I can see them easily losing a couple seconds during teleop or even during auto, just for that indexing. And I feel like that turret is going to cause a lot of issues, especially when especially during teleop when those drivers are stressed. I can definitely see them trying to index the wrong way, or some sort of mechanical malfunction going on, because there's just so many moving parts there. It also looks really heavy. There's a lot of metal on that robot, and it's a lot of mechanically concentrated parts as well, as you can see by that turntable. I'm not sure if turret is the best idea, but the next film we have is the 632-8's Mechanical Advantage from Littleton. I mean, as you can see, they have a wonderful auto, which seems to be really consistent. These guys were really high performing. They won the Hopper division at the world level, at the World Championships in Houston, the time where me and Alarm were there. But as you can see with this robot, it has that angler mechanism, so it picks up from the back, and then goes through this whole like conveyor belt or chain of rollers to its little shooter mechanism. So essentially, if you look at the little orange parts on that shooter, those are just two closely paired wheels that are spinning really, really fast. I'm pretty sure they're using neo vortexes because again, these are really powerful. This is a really powerful shooter, and it's also extremely fast. If you look at the auto, it can cycle and it can shoot a lot. It has a very high throughput. It just goes, picks up, and is already done shooting in close to half a second, which just is beautiful and extremely efficient, which is sort of what I'm looking for here, which is sort of why I'm leaning towards an angler mechanism for that shooter. And especially, as you can see, it's also tracking that April tag on that speaker again, just like a Robonauts, which is again going to prove very efficient for this year's decode season for FTC. I think that detecting that April tag is really good, what's going to help us make most of our shots in. And yeah, and as I was watching these game tapes, I also saw something. Those 3 balls in the middle from the original game format that I was showing you, it sort of shows that there's 3 balls during auto placed in random orders on that on the side, right? I think that we can just completely disregard those if we just go for the human player station first. So we can shoot our first 3 balls that are there's 3 balls that are preloaded into our thing. We can just shoot those 3 first and then go directly to human player station, then go back to that shooting zone, shoot 3, then keep cycling human player to the shooting zone. I think that would skip sorting all entirely and just let our alliance partner take care of that, and us just focus on getting those high reps and cycles in, and we can continue doing the same thing in teleop. So that's also why I like this design too, is because it's very easy to just keep cycling. It's just you go there, you pick up in the crescendo, you pick up those rings, you go close to that shooting zone, and then you boom, you just go shoot your artifacts into that turret, one and done. And so I think that can be really easily repeatable, and it's reliable as well. So the next game tape that we're taking a look at right now is going to be Orbit 1690 from Israel. I think during the crescendo season they were the actual Einstein world champions, so it could be really cool. And one thing that's really interesting is when I was watching them in the stands that year, we were able to see that they were such a slim robot. They also had a similar turret design, but they were a lot more slim, and I think they were extremely fast. They would zip from one end, from the human player station, all the way to that speaker in less than a second or two, which would save so much time on cycling. And I think their average score was around 212 or 215 points per match, which is just insane. Clearly this robot is definitely not lacking in speed, efficiency, and of course shooting from a distance. I mean, these guys' auto, this Israeli team's auto is exceptional. I mean, it's a world qualifying team and a world's winning team. So I think the key takeaway here is that speed is very important. You can see in their robot reveal, I mean, this is Doppler, their robots reveal for the 2024 season. You can see that they zip around from the field from one end, going under the stage, going as fast as lightning from one side of the field to the other, and which is why they were able to put up so many points. And again, you can see that little turret, that little arm mechanism. It would just go through, zip up, pick up that note, and then go like this, just go at an angle again with that limelight. You can see that little green light, and just zip it right into that speaker, and it's just so efficient, so precise, and so mechanically sound. And again, this robot clearly is not lacking. It's a perfect robot. So I think that this is something that we should definitely take into account when looking for a way to actually shoot those balls in. And this is a little bit more different because the rings during crescendo are a little bit rounder, or a little bit flatter, so it might be easier to index. But I think that some design like this, keeping it flat, low profile, but still having a high throughput, and of course going for speed, and that's why I designed that drivetrain to have a 16x15 build frame, so that we could have that sort of mobility and adaptability. But I think that right now, I think we finalized that the arm mechanism and that little left lifting idea is definitely the best way to go about it. So now that we finalized on that little angler mechanism, let's start CADing. It's already 9:33 p.m. and I've just finished editing that section. So I'll see you guys in about 2 hours when I have sort of a rough idea and prototype done in CAD. So it's currently 5 o'clock in the morning, and after CADing basically the whole night, I realized that there is an opportunity to use a turret. I was looking at a lot of teams, and especially this Roden M. Pratt or something like that. This guy on YouTube was debriefing a lot of the turret-based FTC teams, and it looks like they are doing decently speedy cycles. And so I came up with a few ideas on how to actually do the turrets. So we have this right here. So basically using conveyor belts as intakes. So there's two conveyor belts that go out this way, and it's obviously an angle. So going in from the 15-inch side of those three balls, these three will then get funneled into this one main section. And it's basically just one turntable that goes up, and there's obviously a boot kicker that kicks it up into the turret. But one thing I did realize with this one is that there's so many moving parts, and it's going to be really hard to keep track of those, and if anything breaks, it's going to be devastating because there's a lot of points of failure on this one, so I don't know if it's going to be viable, but it's still an idea to check out. So the second idea was sort of a little bit more compacted, so it's going to have the intake from the side over here. So we're going to go in from the 5-inch side of the balls and then take in from this way, going into this section, and then over here there's going to be this little sorter that has these three servos right here, so, and a light sensor. So these ones will detect what color that ball is, and depending on the color it'll then push out up into that section, and of course there's going to be a little boot kicker that pushes it out into the turret. But one thing I realized with this one is you're going to have to be incredibly precise going into that 5-inch sector. Any type of miscalculation or misdriving could cause it to not intake the balls properly, and that could also cost us a lot of time. So decided to scrap that idea. Another idea I had was this rotating magazine idea. So basically the balls would come in from the 5-inch sector again, and so we go into this intake / spindexer thing, which I'll then debrief after I've cutted a little bit of it. And so this section basically is just a huge magazine. It looks sort of like a revolver magazine like this. You have a ball inside, that's your decode ball, and then it'll rotate onto the next ball and keep picking them up. And then at a separate section over here, say, after this intakes all three balls, each one of these modules has a color sensor, which will then direct that ball outward into a conveyor belt and up into a boot kicker somewhere in this region, and that's your turret going up out into there. And then finally we have another idea. This side we can go in from the 15-inch side of the balls. So using these directional mechanism wheels that I've found, you can basically control the direction of an object once you intake. And so basically what happens is these intakes go into this apartment building style design, and so these balls will then go up like this through that way, and so there's a bunch of one-way valves here, 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 and then all of these have their own color sensor here and here, and little servos that again are like little kickers that push them out. But the problem that I'm seeing with all of these designs and the incorporation of sorting is that the time and also the battery. So these two designs have 3 servos already, or 4 servos. This one has 4 servos. This one has 3 servos already involved. It's just gonna put a lot of strain on the battery, and especially if we want to lift and be one of those more adaptable robots, we're gonna need all as much servo power as possible. And again, I'm looking back into this sorting thing. It looks like sorting is gonna take a while. I think that this will add an extra 1 or 2 seconds per cycle, just to figure out how to get those balls in the correct order. So I'm just thinking that it'll be much into for us to just get the balls from the human player station and then shoot it into the direct, go to the shooting zone and then shoot it into the little box without doing the whole sorting business, and make the human player do that instead. So again, also I will show you a turret design that I made in CAD. So it looks a little bit more wonky, and it's using this spindexer idea. So basically, it has like a horizontal spindexer that the balls go into, and then it rotates from the sides, same as this. But there's only 2 servos involved, one to turn that whole spindexer, and then one little kicker up on the opposite side with the light sensor to detect it. But I'll explain to you the pros and cons of that design. But I think for right now, I'm mainly going on, let's do just the angling mechanism as we saw in 6328's design and FRC 1690's design as well, with that little tiny angler. I think that'll be much more efficient. But let's show you the CAD design that I made. So at the top, you can see that there's the spindexer. It has 2 parts. The bottom black section is sort of the casing, and the top is the top white part with the gear on top of it. It's sort of that piece that rotates those balls and sort of indexes them. That small opening is the access to the boot kicker. So the kicker basically goes up and then pushes the robot up into the turret, and then the bottom part is the turret. It says Curry on it for Stephen Curry because we've been shooting 3s, but that was essentially the plan for a while, and I think now that we've gone through this prototype, I think it's time to stop going on tangents and actually start focusing on the actual angler mechanism. That'll get us a lot of points. So. Okay, so it's been about 4 hours, and I think I've gotten a pretty good idea of what the launcher is going to look like. As you can see, there are 3 sets of 1-inch compliant wheels with a 1/2-inch bore, and so basically these control the balls. It has enough space for 3. This is about 16.5 inches long. And so basically the human player will insert the ball at the back of that robot getting sucked in by those green rollers and then indexed through those 3, and so the human player or the driver can control the outtake. So whenever it's ready to go, it'll just drive up to that shooting zone, and then it'll release that third section of wheels. It'll drive them and push them out through those 2 big black wheels, which are going to be revved at high speeds to let it launch out and through into that basket. Okay, so after a quick shower, it's currently 8 a.m. And so the next step in our plan is to do lifting. So we need to be at least 18 inches off of the ground, and that means that we need to have a mechanism within our 2 inches of space on each side, because our drive chains is 14 by 16, to be able to lift us that high and fast. I think the key here for parking and endgame is going to be to score as many cycles as possible before having to lift. So we need something that's really fast, efficient, and of course it has to be reliable, because if our robot falls, then it's basically game over. And so let's get into debriefing some videos. Okay, so when we take a look at this base, right, it looks a little bit wonky. You can see it sort of like jiggle up to that height, but it's not even that bad. The one thing I do see it as an issue is that it's requiring 1 full motor. I mean, it's not too bad, but I feel like if we can get something done with a servo, like an Axon Max or something like that, it could be a way better lifting mechanism. The one thing else is it takes up a lot of space, and I also don't know how sturdy 1 point of contact or 1 little elevator will be, because we have such a heavy launcher in front. So, I mean, let's take a look at the next one. So with the second lift, it looks like it has better positioning on the back, and of course the center of mass is the middle, so it's going to be a little bit more stable than the other one. Again, but the problem is it has 2 servos rather than 1, which is an improvement from before, but I'd still like to cut it down to 1 servo. But the big killer here is the speed. It's extremely slow, and I don't know if we can afford that, as we can cycle maybe 1 or 2 more times in the time that we can lift, and I'm not sure if that extra bonus point is worth losing out on those 2 cycles. So let's take a look at more like Legos. I've had some ideas. I've seen this guy called the Brick Experiments channels. They have these like pretty cool, interesting crawlers that we can take a look at, and I think I have some pretty decent ideas that we can take that we can get working. So I love this walker idea. It's because it's so concise. It just has these two little platforms to just keep moving up and down. So I think for this season, what could be really interesting is storing those little pads on top, and then once it's time to lift, you park a little bit further away from the parking spot and just drop down, and then your whole robot will lift up on top of that, which will save so much time. And I think the big thing with this one is going to be the speed, the precision it takes, because they're very, very wobbly. And it's going to be 18-inch rods that are going to be supporting these. So I think it'll be like somewhat of a heavy duty material, like aluminum, or it has maybe carbon fiber rods. And of course, it's going to be lifting up robots going to be really heavy. And so I think we're going to have to gear it up a lot, which might slow down on time. But I think this might be a little bit more efficient, because while our alliance partner can park, we can go keep cycling, and then last second we can just do this and just jump up right on top of them to get those extra points. Fortunately, we did not get to building the lifting section, but I will release another video about that shortly. It is currently 10 a.m. and I'm about done. I need to get to sleep because I've been CADing for the past 14 hours at this point. And so I just want to say thank you guys for watching if you made it this far, and stay tuned for that lifting mechanism, because I think that can be really interesting.